Hey everyone, thanks for coming in. My name is Angelo, Lynn. I'm with Electric Cloud. We're going to be discussing infrastructure management and automation today. So here's a little bit about the agenda. Discuss infrastructure management, infrastructure as code, automation, configuration management. I also have a demo as well we'll try to get into. A little about me, I'm a solution engineer with Electric Cloud. I'm involved in the pre-sales, so I give you guys a full demo or a POC, and also do the training. I see some of my students in the back from this weekend. Thanks for coming. So pretty cool. Again, this is a problem description, and we're going to discuss infrastructure management on a high level. Just going to give you some tips and best practices around configuration management, infrastructure management, and deployment. Not digging too much technically into the weeds, but you're already using infrastructure management, so just give you some tips on what you should be using and looking for, and some of the tools out there if you're going to use some of the tools or POC them at a later date. So basically, you're out there in your deployment environments, your operation environments. The environments are dynamic now. They're in the cloud, they're on premise, they're hybrid. So, the data centers are just expanding and they're getting out of control. So you really need to manage them. And at the end of the day, you want to deploy, right? At the end of the day, want to deploy with confidence. So let's discuss some tips on how to properly manage these. Here's some quick stats that we found. Those who are incorporating infrastructure management into their DevOps are able to deploy frequently and have deploy faster than their peers and on demand, and have less downtime when they have that infrastructure management in place. So again, some of the best practices for infrastructure management, obviously infrastructure as code. You want to have that blueprint for your environments, that template, fidelity between your environments, whether it's test, QA, production. You want to have that similarity between the environments so you know what's deploying and which environment you can go back to them. And once you deploy, make that environment mutable, right? Immutable, so it can't be changed. If you're gonna do another, you wanna make some changes, do another pipeline, right? So you can go back and understand what happened here and there. And then configuration management. There's a lot of tools out there. You guys are probably using them, Chef, Puppet, Ansible. Are they meeting all your needs? And how can you build on top of those tools into your full CI/CD process? And that's where an ARA release application tool like Electric Flow or others out there that may come in handy when you're doing your deployment. Again, infrastructure as code, treating your systems like a block of code, versioning them out, putting them into your repositories, utilizing some of the open source tools that may be declarative or imperative. Again, reusability and resources that are disposable. So, infrastructure as code, you guys seen it. You're probably doing it now. If not, you're heading that way. And there's a lot of tools that can help you get the job done, those configuration management tools, which I mentioned earlier, right? Are they meeting all your needs? They have all the best practices that can help you with them, so help you in your infrastructure management. Again, those CM tools that you're probably using, open source ones, the one you're using in-house, or maybe you have some home-baked tools you're using for infrastructure management, can they quickly replicate environments? Do they have support for your deployments, right? They say they can deploy. Are they really deploying with confidence? Are you spinning up that environment and versioning it out? Are they model-based? You should be modeling out your pipelines, modeling out your environments. And then auditability, right? A lot of you guys get audited. Can those tools have some type of monitoring and governance built in and audit reports built in? So that's some of the stuff I'll be able to show shortly. Again, automation, right? We want to automate these configuration management, right? But start off slow. Start maybe automating the dev environment, then build up slowly, right? So you don't just spill the milk and automate everything, right? So again, automation accelerates infrastructure management from concept to implementation. Use those provisioning scripts, those templates with the different tools there. You should always implement a method for deployment, environment for continuous delivery, and again, the CM tools, they're starting to have all those different features, but combine them with an ARA tool, you'll get that true deployment from build to production. Again, reusability and consistency. Automation will lead to easier replication of environments. You want to be able to reuse those environments, go back to these environments, and understand where they're located, what's in the environment, the artifacts that are in the environment, the components that are in the environment. And if you model those environments out, you can quickly deploy from on-premise today, and then tomorrow go to your container environments, go to your cloud environments, AWS, Azure, et cetera. And so a configuration management tool, maybe with an ARA tool, can help you spin up those, Docker and Kubernetes environments, or AWS or Azure environments. So stuff to think about. Can that tool grow with you on your DevOps journey? Because today you may just be deploying on-prem or in VMware, but you may be going somewhere else in the future. So here's where I mentioned release automation a few times. Release automation, a product like Electric Flow, others out there, can really help you scale out your environments. They can help identify drift quickly, the differences in environments. So if there's differences between QA and prod, can you easily identify that? Again, audit trail for compliances. We have a ton of dashboards that can show you where you deployed at, what environments have deployed successfully, what environments may be having issues with deployment. So having those dashboards, that audit trail, really should help you with your DevOps process. DevOps-ready deployments, again, you want to be able to model your apps, connect the dots, gain shared visibility. When you're modeling out, you see who, what, where, and how, the overall flow of the deployment. Another key feature of that you want to have in your environment management, right, is environment reservations, right? Reservations and calendaring. So what I say by reservations, you want to be able to block out that production environment or QA environment for a certain time period, or maybe that QA environment's only allocated to that particular team during a certain time. Or if it's Black Friday, you don't want any deployments going on, black it out. You should have that ability to do that from your CM or ARA tool. So a quick view, this is a calendar with blackout times or reservation times for certain environments. So you'll be able to lock those environments down, whether they're on-prem, in the cloud, or some type of container configuration. Again, I mentioned environment drift. You want to gain full visibility into your environments, across the different environments, and be able to tell which environments, be able to detect the drift in environments, what's the difference between those environments. So if there is a issue in production, can you roll back to the UAT stage or pre-prod to those artifacts that are working better? So have that, detect that drift early and on in the environment. So again, within this Electric Flow, again, you can compare environments and see the components down to the version levels, down to the database schema, what's in those environments. And so the last slide before I get into a demo, just I want to talk about versioning again. This is good for rollback. Some tools may have a DSL where you can export that DSL and version it off. So if you need to roll back to that environment or previous good state, you can do that pretty easily as well with a DSL. So I have a demo next. I'm going to get out of this and hopefully it works and keep you guys entertained. Here's the Electric Flow homepage. Again, it's on-premise solution. You can come up to the booth and get a further demo on it if you want. It's also a community edition out there you can download for free. It's a release automation deployment tool. Feel free to go use it and get playing around with it. I'm going to go into environments. The use case, I have a traditional application that I want to deploy into across my environments into production. So I'm going to go into my production stage, and this can be on-premise or in the cloud. And I'm going to go into what I mentioned earlier, reservations, right? I got my calendar view here. It's November. That looks right. I'm going to create a new reservation where I'm going to block out a deployment. I'm just going to pick the date and time. Once you can pick the reservation here. You can allow overlap. You would hit next, and that will go out and block out the time. I already have one scheduled. You see here, no deploy block out. It gives me the date and time and when the reservation will be lifted. So I've blocked out the production environment from having any applications being deployed. So now I'm going to go ahead and involve my my chatbot here. You guys should also be thinking about chatbots with any tools you're using, right? Your configuration management tools, your ARA tools. I'm going to talk to my bot here, and he's going to help me deploy an application out to my environment. We're going to try to deploy to production, and hopefully that will not work. So just giving him some simple commands. And now we'll create a release to be deployed. So he's already got that started. Clicked on there. He brought me to my release page. I'm going to start and run this pipeline. And he should give me some feedback. We're pushing that application to UAT. It's going pretty fast just for demo purposes. You guys will probably have more testing going on. So it went pretty fast. He told me please approve for production. So I'm going to go back to my release and see where we're at. It's going to production, but remember, it's an approval gate here, so I got to approve it. But remember, it should not go to production because I blocked that out, right? So approve to prod. I am the production manager, but I'm tired or something. I forgot it's no deployment right now. So I'm gonna approve it anyway, and let's see if it gets stopped. So my bot already told me production deployment is waiting. Why is it waiting? Let me go back to my electric flow tool to see where we're at. It clearly shows no progress here. If I click on the account statements, waiting for environment reservation. So that tells me there's some type of reservation on that production environment and it's waiting. Once that reservation is lifted, that application will deploy. So again, that's part of the environments reservations is what you want to have in your ARA tool or CM tool, have that ability to block out environments. So in conclusion, again, environment management, automation allows organizations, whether you're dev, QA, to reduce operation efforts, to easily streamline and get your environments up and running. You want every element of your infrastructure to almost be infrastructure as code. You want to be able to version it off. You want to use the different templates that are out there. Take advantage of the open source tools for environment and configuration management. But also, if you want to do successful deployments, you may think about incorporating a release automation tool. Here's some links to some of the resources and data I gathered, and also Electric Cloud, and also how to get a chatbot working into your into maybe one of your HipChat or Slack with your tools. So questions? I would, you could probably just add a reservation into whatever tool you're using. We hope it won't fall through the cracks, that the back-to-back reservation should kick in. Yeah, you can have several reservations. With our tool, several reservations. I think it was an overlap feature that you can have during the deployments. I don't have a recommendation on how many environments you should have, but you want to make that pipeline immutable. So if you're going to make changes, you probably have multiple pipelines for your deployments or your CI. I think I mentioned configuration management, but we do hook into those like change management tools. You can correct me if I'm wrong, like ServiceNow, those idle tools. We'll have a plugin, and we can take the feedback from a ServiceNow and automate, you know, configuring an environment or automating a ticketing system to say approve to production instead of having a manual process like I did there. You can automate that process. I think there was another question. So, I mean, electric flow's been around for 10 years. It started off as a build tool with Commander. Last couple of years, we built on top of that for the electric flow. But typically, we see a lot of different organizations at different levels of DevOps moving away from that typical mainframe legacy systems to more of a microservices approach. Start small and build upon that. So there's really no timeline, just what stage you're at, continue to build on it and move the DevOps into the corporation, into everyone's, team, basically. Yeah, so we hook right into Jira. That's a pretty common use case. A lot of our customers use Jira along with our tool. We have a plugin, bidirectional plugin with Jira. So we also can give you our dashboarding on Jira, where we'll give you the stats and the stories right in our dashboard. So you get full visibility into Jira with our tool. Yeah. Yeah, we have over hundreds of plugins. So yeah. It's pretty well documented too on our page, plugins.electriccloud.com, how the plugins are built. There's pretty good documentations around it. Any more questions? For sandbox environments, like what tool to use, like a Docker container or VirtualBox? Yeah. So we can hook into those orchestration tools if you're going that way, like a Kubernetes or ECS or OpenShift. So I would, recommend just looking at those. Those are pretty popular ones. Yep. So yeah, I talked about versioning there. With your configuration management tools, you want to make sure they can version, because the ARA tools like ours can definitely do the versioning and kick off those scripts, database, whatever script you're thinking about, we can definitely handle it and kick it off for you in an automated fashion.
Working with SaaS products such as Salesforce,
Yeah, typically we see a lot of customers using, the SaaS products. Atlassian Suite comes to mind, but Salesforce definitely a popular one. But yeah, we definitely hook into a variety of different SaaS products via plugin or API. I'd have to double check. You definitely come up to the booth. We could talk about it. Yeah. Cool. If no more questions, we'll wrap it up. Feel free to come up to the booth and find me. We can talk. Thanks, guys.